Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to become a member of our club, you must be either a current or a former member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 official speeches. If you have substantial presentation experience, you can apply for membership after you demonstrate your abilities with a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered right here in our club. Our request for membership is according to the approval of our members. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure that it shows your name and role if you have one. Simply right-click on your face and select rename to do so. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world, and therefore as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of your language or word usage so that you won't do anything offensive or be insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we are recording the meeting today, and so your recording and audio could contribute to our club marketing purposes. If you are not speaking, we ask that you would keep your microphone muted. And now, please welcome our club president, DTM Lewis Brown.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms. Welcome everyone to our Monday. I was going to say Monday night, but it could be Tuesday morning, Monday afternoon. Well, could be Monday afternoon, I guess. Whatever time and day it is for you around the world. Welcome guests, Brenda, Tracy. I'm not sure if the second Marty is a guest as opposed to Big Turtle, our member, Marty. I guess we'll find out soon, won't we? We have a fairly full agenda with a couple of interesting speeches, so stick around, folks. We also have some announcements at the end of the meeting that I will share with you. And really, this is just a great time to take a pause and breathe and forget kind of like a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world. Even though it's very important and extremely challenging times right now, this is the one time of the week that we can really just escape for that for a little bit. So again, welcome everyone. We're going to kick off things right away. Please welcome to the virtual stage our Toastmaster of the day, Marianne Grady.
Hi, good day, everybody. Happy to see you. My name is Marianne Grady. I will guide you through the meeting tonight. Toastmaster meetings, as many of you know, are divided into 3 sections. The first part is prepared speeches. The second part, table topics, where we practice our extemporaneous speaking. And finally, the gift of feedback, which is where we all learn the most in our meetings. Tonight, our meeting's a little different, and we had a few bumps in the road getting this meeting off the ground. But as true Toastmasters, people all pitched in, and we got it done. So I am looking forward to our meeting tonight. Our tip of the day person who is on the agenda first is not here right now, so we might slide that back if she arrives. Otherwise, we'll just kind of make do and switch it around. But our helpers for today, we have our timer, who is Carolina Ramirez. Carolina, tell us what you'll be doing for us tonight.
My role as a timer is to keep track of time for prepared speeches, impromptu speeches, and evaluators. And at the end of the meeting, I will give you my report.
Carolina, Andri's speech is 14 minutes. So could you, can you give him the first warning at 12, the second warning at 13, and the red at 14?
Okay. Got it.
We do not have a grammarian tonight. Is there anyone who can take that role? Okay, Andy, thank you. Watcher is Lou Brown. You want to tell us about your role tonight?
Sure, certainly. The Watcher is a role that's unique to online clubs for our guests who I heard are Toastmasters from other clubs. Not sure if you have such a role in your other clubs or if you're familiar with it at all, but for an online club, our visual presence is very important. Backgrounds, framing, lighting, etc. So my job is to observe all of the good things about our visual presence and offer some suggestions on how many of us might, or some of us may be able to spruce that up a bit. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Well, Andy, now that you're the grammarian, do you want to tell us what you're going to do for us?
Role of the grammarian is active listening. The word of the day is peace. I will listen also for your sentence structure, your use of words, and general impact on the ear, and give a report when called upon.
Our owl counter tonight is April Elizee. April, tell us what you're going to do for us tonight.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My role as the odd counter is to listen for crutch words such as and so, and among many others. These crutch words will undermine our message and distract our audience. I will listen for these crutch words and filler words along with repeats and false starts. When called upon, I will give my report. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Marty, are you able to be our chat monitor this evening? Oh, Angela's the chat monitor, sorry. Angela, tell us what you're going to do for us. Playing a lot of musical roles tonight.
Madam Toastmaster of the day, as the chat monitor, I will be looking at the discussion we have in chat. And at the end, when called upon, I will report any interesting, sparkling conversations we have there. I am going to ask, however, that when people are making their formal presentations, that you would hold the chat so that it doesn't interfere with our ability to see their presentation. So back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Angela. Now our vote counter and GE tonight is David Carr. David, tell us what you're going to do in both of those roles tonight.
Vote counter, oddly enough, counts the votes. I do use a handy dandy little vote counting tool, digital vote counting tool that we cooked up as part of the grand WordPress for Toastmasters scheme. And I will be posting links in the chat for each vote. Guests are welcome to vote as well.
Now, we've made the theme of the meeting a John Lennon lyric, and it's from Imagine. And as you all know, with what's going on in the world, a lot of us are troubled. And I just thought it might be nice to kind of think about a little and a little peace. And with that, we do have our first speaker is going to be Ervlyn, but our second speaker is going to be Andriy Smolenko, who is Ukrainian, and he's going to share some of his thoughts and feelings on what is going on there with some information that he has for us. So he will be evaluated, and BDC is going to be both the table topics master and his evaluator. So I just wanted to let you know, because these things might not be on the agenda. So I will get right to introducing Ervlyn. Ervlyn joined us in October of 2021, and she's done several speeches already, so she's very active, and she's doing her speech tonight from Presentation Mastery Level 1. And it's the introduction to vocal variety and body language with emphasis on vocal variety. Tonight, her speech is titled The Jigsaw Puzzle, and Jim Barber will be her evaluator. Please welcome Ervlyn Young with The Jigsaw Puzzle.
A few days ago, I had a discussion with my friends about bribery and corruption. The past couple of decades have seen the unprecedented global collaboration on reining corruptions. We had more and more anti-bribery laws. But we were wondering how well these regulatory frameworks have been working. So I went and looked at the Corruption Perception Index released by the Transparency International, which scores countries from 0, highly corrupt, to 100, very clean, and found that 70% of the countries in the Asia-Pacific region have sit firmly below 50 in the past decade. 60% of the countries in Asia scores below the global average of 43. What do these figures mean? It means that Asia Pacific region still choke on corruption. There is no doubt that the US Foreign Corruption Practice Act and the UK Bribery Act have led the world war against corruption. have successfully bred more and more anti-bribery laws around the globe and raised the global awareness on compliance. However, I believe FCPA, UKBA, and all kinds of law enforcement is just one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. When it is fighting a lone battle without the help of other pieces of the puzzle, it might be doomed to failure. Because corruption in many societies is not just a business wrongdoing, it is part of the culture. It is deeply embedded in the genes of many cultures in this world. When we look at the history of corruption in many countries, we'll see that it dates back to hundreds or thousands of years ago. Let me give you an example. Adults bribing cops to get out of traffic tickets, bribing security guards to get a parking space that was booked by other people, bribing doctors to expedite the COVID-19 vaccine appointment, bribing teachers to get the leaked exam papers before examination. Imagine someone wearing fake Nike shoes, fake Supreme clothes with a fake Gucci bag, goes out to buy fake IDs, fake degrees, fake CVs in order to apply for a job as a fake news editor. In corruption-riddled societies, petty forms of bribery is everywhere and anywhere in the daily lives. Many children grow up believing that giving and taking bribes is just fine. Interestingly though, when you ask parents, are you raising your kids to be the next generation of the world's most corrupt business or political leaders, say like Bernie Madoff or Ferdinand Marcos? All of the adults will say no. However, they are not realizing that they are setting very bad examples for their children, which I believe was because they themselves were raised in the very same environment. When the root of corruption is deeply anchored in the mindset of the majority, like DNA in the genes, then rooting out corruption will be as difficult as, or maybe more difficult than, genetic engineering. That's why I'm saying that law enforcement alone, FCPA, UKBA, do not solve the problem. It requires the participation of every single citizen to be involved in the grand cause of reining in corruption, to be involved in hatching the right attitude against bribery among the next generation, and eventually removing the mindset of bribery from the genes of local culture. There is no quick fix. There is no wonder drug. It could be more difficult than halting the war between the Ukraine and Russia. But I would like to highlight that every single individual is one piece of that jigsaw puzzle. When they're all taken together, we have the whole solution to this problem. Although it will be a long journey, I believe there is one strategy that can maximize our short-term gain. It's called the carrot and stick strategy. Law enforcement is the stick part. And what is the carrot part? This part is also an important part of the jigsaw puzzle. Let me give you an example. I have two friends working in two companies, which is operating in the very same industry in the same city. The two companies have different ownership structure, but the person working for company A earns 3 times as much as the person working for company B. The person working for company A can afford a 60 square meters apartment for herself. The person working for company B has to share his 60 square meters apartment with his spouse, children, and parents. Imagine if I am offering a bribe to both of my friends, which one is more likely to take the bribe? Obviously, the one who is underpaid, and sometimes overworked. In places where government officials or employees are underpaid and overworked, corruption thrives. Individual prosperity, to some extent, overcomes the lust for illegal wealth. Take Singapore as an example. The country pays high salaries to its government officials in order to avoid corruption. And in the past decade, Transparency International has ranked this country as one of the best corruption-free country in the world. So the point is, carrot is as important as the stick. Both carrot and stick are crucial part of the jigsaw puzzles. Carrot can come in various forms, especially good pay and good employee benefits. Business leaders, have you offered any carrots to your employees? Parents, have you offered any carrots to your children? Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
You're muted. Oh.
Oh, sorry. Ervlyn had stepped up at the last minute to put her speech information in there. And I really appreciate when people do that because it makes my job a whole lot easier. So thank you, Ervlyn. Now, our next speaker is Andriy Smolenko. He was originally scheduled to be our general evaluator tonight. And earlier today, he sent me a note saying he didn't feel like he was up to doing the role. And when asked to speak, he actually said he would come on and speak for 14 minutes about his country and what's going on, with him. And I was really, really touched that he would do this because it's got to be hard. He's got to really be digging deep, courage-wise. And to top it off, I told him we wouldn't assign an evaluator because he just put this together off the cuff. And he said he wanted an evaluator because in true Toastmaster fashion, he wanted to make sure his message was getting out there. So please give a very heartfelt, warm welcome to Andriy as he delivers his speech, War in Ukraine, for whom the bell tolls. Andriy Smolenko.
I want peace. Everybody wants peace. We just want to wake up in the morning, hug our loved ones, smell fresh coffee in the air. Then we want to open the window and breathe with the fresh morning air. Something had been taken away for millions and millions of people in one day. I am Ukrainian, and I've been living in Manchester for many years now. It's about 16, Manchester, UK. And on the night of 24th of February, 2022, at 5 a.m., Russian troops start bombing my country. Russian rockets start launching in major cities of Ukraine, spreading death to civilians who were asleep, just you and me. I woke up in the middle of the morning. Didn't know what was going on. It was the phone call from one of my friends saying, Andriy, the war has begun. The Russians start burning our cities. It's a sad day for my country. It's a very sad day for me personally. And I want peace, as we all do. At the same time, we all know what's going on. We all heard the news, the dominating mass media, the war, people dying. At the same time, all that just because of one man and a bunch of bandits who rule the Russia at this time. Adolf Putin, as people call him these days. Yes, that's him and a bunch of people who are directly responsible for 1,000 people in Ukraine, hundreds of thousands fleeing Ukraine, asking for help. Thousands dying on the streets just within 5 days. Just one man and a bunch of bandits. Of course, I'm not blaming or putting a finger at all the Russians in the world and saying this is your fault. That my speech today is about peace. It's about what we all can do to keep that peace. What we all can do right now to help Ukrainian people fight, who are actually fighting not only for their human rights and independence, not for Russians, but for the rest of the world. Currently, in day number 5 of fighting, Russian troops have taken some parts of the Ukraine. You can see it on the map, normally on the east. There's some territories that's already controlled by Russian, they marked in red, and you can see that the red right up north is getting near to the capital. Kyiv is their capital. Kyiv is the city which used to be made of about 4 million people. 4 million people that used to be there. The map tells its own story. That fortunately Russian troops not that successful as they hoped. They hoped they could just march through the cities and towns of Ukraine, and all Ukrainians would shout glory to Russia. Thank you for coming and freeing us from the regime that we were suffering. But no, it didn't happen. The completely opposite things start happening in Ukraine. Well, I'm Ukrainian and I know my folks. We would normally sit in our own house and wait for our neighbor to get into trouble as long as it doesn't touch me. We would sit in our own bunks and we would think twice whether to share anything with our neighbor or not. There are few things about Ukrainians that are not serious. At the same time, what Russian troops did, they united Ukrainians. They united us, not only in Ukraine, but from all around the world. And those advances that they did, that you can see on the map, it's not going to stop Ukrainian people from wanting peace and doing everything that's necessary to make that peace come true. This is a picture of a missile launched from one of the Russian tanks, hitting at tower blocks in my city, Kyiv, Ukraine, where I was born. I was a little child walking through the streets of that area. I know that area really, really well. My mom and dad are 68. They live in one of them apartment blocks nearby. It could have been them. It could have been anyone from millions of Ukrainians living there. Out of about 100 families that live in a similar apartment blocks, my mom and dad told me that they have about 9 families left, and they one of them. They couldn't leave. They couldn't evacuate when the sirens rang in the middle of the night. They couldn't do it. My dad is disabled. He is suffering from memory loss, and it's not getting any better. And mom couldn't leave. They've been together for 43 years. They stayed with a number of other families. children, families fled for their survival, live in the city, almost half, if not more, empty. This girl, I wanted to look very, very closely into her eyes, just in her beautiful smile. She's about the same age as my son. If we stay in Ukraine, it could have been him. She was shot dead by the Russian troops. Her mom and dad are in hospital fighting for their survival. And then many cases of Russian troops murdering civilian Ukrainians, their brothers and sisters, as they call them. Throughout our history, we always helped each other one way or the other, at least for the last maybe 70, 80 years, fighting in Second World War, going through the other conflicts together, brothers, as Vladimir Putin called us. Seems to be not anymore. Brothers don't do that. At the same time, despite what's going on in Ukraine with Russian troops bombarding and sending rockets on civilian buildings and destroying us, the children are born during the war. And this is the real photo taken from one of the hospital's maternity units in Kyiv, Ukraine. My auntie works for maternity clinic, and she was there. This is how women give birth to the children in the cellars, bunkers. They're not meant to be used for that, but children born. Every day, boys and girls wanting peace are being born in Ukraine. In the same way as in United States or in Indonesia, anywhere else, who wanted to be happy, just to say mommy, to say daddy. What I could do, I thought, I'm Ukrainian, who is in Manchester, far, far away, 1,000 miles away from my motherland. I had a thought I should give up everything in here, my business, my life, properties, leave children with their mom and go to Ukraine to do whatever I can to make sure that my mom and dad, who are in Kyiv right now, living in one of those apartment blocks, and thousands, hundreds of thousands of children can see that morning, can see that peace. And then I thought there is something else I could do. I can speak in public. I live in Manchester. I am a member of a number of Ukrainian groups. One of them is UK Ukraine. It's the Facebook online community that brings Ukrainian in the UK together. It's about 5,000 people. So I thought there is something I can do. And on this photo, you can see my daughter, my son, and the hands of my daughter's boyfriend. Well, she's 14, she wants to have a boyfriend. They all came into our house last Saturday, and we decided to make some placards and join the rally in Manchester city centre. We did spend considerable amounts of time because I'm trying to explain how important that was. My daughter and her boyfriend, being typical teenagers, going, whatever, why are we gonna do that? I understand. It took me a while to talk them through what's happening and how important those little things that we do, those little things that we show our support to the Ukraine. And what we did after quite a few hours of preparations, we prepared those 4 posters, placards, and you can see them with Ukrainian flag, stop Adolf Putin, stop his war. My son, my daughter, and her boyfriend, they did them all by hands. That was an important thing to do. And you can see us all together on the rally. I brought the drum with me. I love drumming on African drums, so that was really, really helpful thing to do. So just keeping spirits high. About 4,000 people got together in Manchester City Square. And we rallied. We express our support for the Ukraine. We talked to locals. We talked to other people. Strangely enough, to me, there were many Chinese families, many hundreds of Chinese families. I couldn't understand why, with their children at that rally, asking questions, supporting and shouting for the Ukraine. At the same time, there were not that many Russians at the square. It's understandable. But what about the Russians? Just one example I want to give you is that example that a few members of my online community group and it told me that they are Russians, they support Ukraine, but in schools, because their children are Russian, they're being bullied. They can't go to school for one simple reason. That's extreme. I understand that's extreme. Nobody wanted that. But what about Russians? I probably leave it at this place because it's not easy for me to talk about Russians and what they do. It's up to them to decide. At the same time, what can you do to make sure that your children wake up in the morning? Your grandchildren can come to your bed and hug you and say, Mommy, Daddy, Grandma, let's go out and enjoy this peaceful morning. We don't want to start a nuclear war, do we? Don't be indifferent. Don't be indifferent. There are little things you can do. Just don't think it's somebody else's fight. It may be yours in the end. You can make a donation. You can find the charity and make a money donation that would go to the Ukrainian people to help them, to the Ukrainian army, to stop Russian advancing into the rest of the world. You can talk to Russians. If you have any friends, just ask them simple question, why? Why? And what is their attitude? You can always talk to your politicians. You can do it too. And help them to make their mind up and unite around Ukraine and help them more. You can do those simple things. We all want peace. We all want to live normal life. To have those simple joys of life. You, me, we need to act now. We stand with Ukraine. We stand united with Ukraine. Back to you, Madam.
Thank you, Andriy. We've all been horrified by the things on the news, but your personal account is truly touching. And I hope you know that all of us, wish for peace and are sending our love and prayers to you and your family. Give Andriy some love in the chat. All right, the next segment that we have to move on to is our table topics. And tonight that will be handled by Mr. BDC. And he is going to entertain us for the next few minutes. So BDC, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Marianne Grady. I wanted to throw out there right away that I like a good table topics, particularly when it's throwing out there. But what I like the most is the opportunity for people to raise their hands and jump into a question that they're not quite sure they're ready to answer. So let me kind of explain what we're doing today, because I think this is important. I'm going to show you a tool because I'm a dad and I've got tools. That's just what we do. I think we're legally required to have a basement filled with things that we can do things with to do things. And I want you to tell me what it is, but here's where it's going to be fun. I only want wrong answers. So when I show you something, even if you're like, I know exactly what this thing is, tell me the wrong answer. Does that sound like fun to you guys? All right. I want to see a hand. Who wants to go first and tell me what this tool is with the wrong answer? Angela, I see you smiling. You ready for this?
I love it. Yes. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, you're looking at something that we call in the United States a doohickey. The purpose of a doohickey is to, you use it to beat on the heads of people who are talking foolishness. Now, we've been using doohickeys in America for quite a long time, and I'm proposing that we bring the doohickey to the Online Presenters Club. So if there is someone, either during their speech or during their table topic, if they are speaking foolishness, then my job as the Sergeant of Arms would be to get out the doohickey and virtually beat them on top of their heads. Now, this may not be appropriate in every nation, but it is something that we in America are selling to other nations. So you may find that the doohickey will be coming to your country very soon. So if you're interested in purchasing one, I happen to know a distributor and I can put you in contact with that person and get you a discount. In fact, if you purchase 50 or more doohickeys, you also will get the next tool that we discuss. This is Angela Heath, your distributor for doohickeys. Back to you.
Thank you so much for telling me what a doohickey is. I'm so glad you told me because I had no idea how to use it. Who would like to go next? I feel like Tracy wants to go next. Tracy, remember,
Yes, sir.
Wrong answers only.
That's all I give, apparently.
What is this?
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ear. I need to blow something out into the atmosphere. I need to let you all know that craziness is going on in the world. And because of it, I have invented a microphone that will take your voice and it will blow it all around the world. And the way it does that is by making connections. That right there is a connectionometer 3000. It's something that I put together to connect with April and Angela and Lewis and Jim all the way around the world. And the way this works is, first thing I do is I start it up, brum, 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 and then I put a prayer inside for Ukraine. And the prayer that goes in goes all around the world. And the way it connects with the Connectometer 3000 is that we come together as Toastmasters, whether we're in Ukraine, whether we're in Texas, whether we're in Florida, Ohio, we come together with the powerful Connectometer 3000 and we are able to have one voice, one prayer, one vote. Imagine if there's no countries. Now, April's probably too young to know that reference from that John Lennon song, but imagine if we had no borders. Imagine all the people living life in peace. And the way we have that peace is with the Connectometer 3000. So for today, the low, low price of $79.95, Brenda, you too can have your very own orange and black Connectometer 3000. Now, we can take crypto, we take cash, we take whatever it is that you need to pay to get your Connectometer 3000. So my question back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master and fellow Toastmasters, is this: are you ready to live in peace? If you are, buy this product from me. A dove will come out of the product and it will fly high into the heavens and there will be peace on earth. With that being said, I want to flip my script and say that if it wasn't for Toastmasters, I would never have actually talked to, listened to, heard an actual Ukrainian person that's affected by these crazy events that are going on. So I really stand with you, Ukraine, and I want you all to know that today, as Americans and as anyone you are in the world, let's come together to pray and use our Connectometer 3000. I got to put that back in there so that we all can have peace. Who's ready to connect? I am.
Thank you very much, Tracy, for that wonderful, wonderful speech. Who would like to go next? Birgit, I feel like you got one. Ready?
Got it.
Remember, wrong answers only. What is this?
This is the most recent tool that we have in order to make sure that we actually walk in a straight line when we're in dance class. Because we want to make sure that we're not veering off a path, crashing into our partner or crashing to the next person that's doing a salsa next to us. We want to make sure that we understand what our directions are. Now, we have multiple models of these. Some allow you to take curves. Some of you help, in this case, help you to go straight. So you can have a whole collection of these things because we want them to have all these different directions. Yeah, figure out how to go backwards, how to go sideways, how to go in a curve. But this one specifically helps us go forward. Because a lot of times, salsa is a very slotted dance. You have to go forward and you have to go backwards. There is no twirling and curving in salsa. It's a very, very slotted dance. Actually, so is the hustle. It will help you with the hustle very much. So if you want to go out there at some of these clubs and make sure that you're not crashing into other people, you know, that kind of thing starts bar fights and dance floor fights. We want to stay away from that. So this really helps you, and you can use it at home or you can bring it to the dance studio. So in general, if you do want to use it at home, that way you have an added advantage when you actually go out there to dance, because you can figure out how to put one foot in front of the other. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much for that. That was wonderful. All right, I got a box of things down here. I don't want people to think that I'm running out of tools because I've got plenty to go around. Lysing, are you ready?
Yes.
Remember, wrong answers only. What is this?
Okay, cool. That is a pen. Well, you want the wrong answer. Normally, I don't know the right answer. Let's just suppose that's a pen, and a pen, we want to use it to write stories of our life, to inspire people, to motivate people to do good. At the pen, we want to everyone buy it, and we can use the proceeds to donate to the cause of Andriy and to help the Ukrainian people to fight. At the pen, I want everyone to have it and to teach your children to love the peace and to prevent a human to become too overhead, become too greedy, and to become so crazy. At the pen, to tell our story, to write our history, and to I don't know what to say. Well, anyway, it's a pen. I will suppose I just encourage everybody to buy and to write. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster, Topic Master.
That was wonderful. That was incredible. All right, so here's the truth. The only way to guarantee I don't call on you is for you to raise your hand. Brenda, are you ready?
I'm not great at this.
Don't worry. Just remember, wrong answers only.
All right.
What is this?
All right. That is a toothbrush. When we get tired of brushing our teeth, instead of flossing, when we get a cavity, we just pull the tooth out, right? That's the way to go. Just get rid of all your teeth. Everyone needs one of those. Everyone hates their teeth. At least I do. I hate flossing. So I just want to take every single tooth out, live off puree, and be happy, like a baby. I love baby food, banana food, Brussels sprouts. They're smashed. They're really good. I have a grandson who has no teeth. He enjoys eating. He's the happiest he has ever been. So I wish I had no teeth so I can enjoy life like he does. So please buy that instead of buying floss. It'll be easy. You just buy that. You'll get rid of one tooth at a time. I can't handle this. And then you'll be happy like a baby. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brenda, for at least making green. I was counting. I'm like, let's get her to that green card. Who would like to go next? Lou, are you ready?
I am, sir.
Remember, wrong answers only. What is this?
Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, friends, and guests. Here we have a cake cutter. Actually, it is a general food cutter. Not a knife, because with a knife, as you knew, it is a single blade instrument that is complete with no missing center or missing anything. With this kind of cutter, as you can see, the center is missing because it can cut through anything that you might then want to create these interesting types of food arrangements, almost like, say, floury radishes or interesting cake swirls and apple swirls and all these kind of things. Because with that open center, it effectively lets you reach through with your fingers and pull things in several different ways. Some people call this the donut cutter because of the missing center. Other people refer to it as the bagel cutter, not because it cuts bagels or donuts, but it looks like a bagel or donut in terms of the fact that it's missing the center. Also, because of its size, it is able to cut very large items, very large wedding cakes, those 12-foot long hoagies, grinders, subways, whatever folks may call those things that you see at picnics or various events. And it also works very fast. You can almost like a Ginsu knife. You can cut. You can turn that 12-foot subway sandwich into, oh God, I got to do my math here now, into 144 one-footers. I guess, no, yeah, 144 one-footers in a matter of seconds because it just works so fast. Boom, 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 boom. Just like somebody who cuts celery with a regular knife or any kind of vegetable or food product. Go out today and get your donut, bagel, special large food cutting device knife, and you will receive a special discount of 30% if you mention my name in the promo code box. Back to you, Mr. Topics Master.
I love how everyone is tying in the sales aspect. I didn't ask you guys to do it, but y'all just running with this. You know, we got time for at least 3 more of these. So if you're thinking, I'm just going to wait out the clock, there's no way Brian's going to call on me. You're absolutely wrong, April. Are you ready, April?
Sure.
Remember, okay, good. No one knows what they're doing here. All right. What is this?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. That is your new alarm system. There's no need to have ADT or the Nest. There's no need for that. You can save your monthly membership. If someone breaks into your house, all I need to do is grab my handy dandy doohickey 3000. Because guess what? when that person, that lucky fella or lucky lady walks into my door, I'm going to introduce them to my new friend. And all you have to do is just do a nice little swing. And guess what? They're probably not going to visit you anymore. And better yet, they're probably going to tell their friends about that visit. And guess what? You save so much money. You don't have to worry about that monthly bill paying it each and every month. You don't have to worry about any loan contracts to worry about. So it's going to save you so much money. And you can keep it underneath your bed. You can keep one by your door. You can keep one in your car. You can keep it anywhere you want to. You can have a large enough purse where you can keep it in your purse if you want to go out for a late night walk. It's up to you. Who wants to buy one? Buy one, get one free. Back to you, Table Topic Master.
Now I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. There are two people I'm not going to call on because they've given speeches, so they don't have to panic. I'm going to call on their names, but everyone else has to be doing the math. How many people are left? How many people haven't been called on? Because right now, David, what is this?
Oh, I haven't seen one of those in a long, long time. Those are high power X-ray glasses that, I mean, you read about them in the back of the comic book. You knew that you could peek through women's clothes with them. And I lost mine a long time ago. But where did you get that? I mean, did you find that at a flea market or something? Because, well, I mean, the truth is that they don't actually work. You know, it's a fantasy. It's something that people would think, or at least young boys think, would be the coolest thing ever to have X-ray glasses. But unfortunately, they really are just a come on in the back of the comic book. You know, they're no better than silly putty as a way of achieving anything real in this life. And so if you want to see a naked lady, you're going to have to sweet talk a lady into getting naked. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Now there's only 4 of you left for one speaking slot. You can end the misery right now and ask yourselves, am I going to raise my hand? Or is Brian going to have to call my name? What's your choice going to be, Andy? Are you ready to tell me what I have?
Yes.
What is this?
That is, I have no idea what that is.
Wrong answers only. Come on.
That is an exercise gizmo to help you lose weight. What you do is when someone brings out a plate of food, you pass over it with that device and you are fastened around your waist to a fixed point so you cannot get up to get the food. Therefore, you are protected from taking in those calories because you are strapped to your seat. You put the big part over there and stick it in your table or in the ground next to you, and you use that strap thing and wrap it around your waist, allowing you to look at the food but not to be able to reach over and grab it. And that's what that is for. We want to help everyone lose weight as we are approaching the summer in several more months. And the best way of doing that is to reduce your calories. And the best way of reducing your calories is not to consume like Brian just did. We are all looking forward to getting one of those devices to give us added energy in helping us stay away from food that adds extra calories. Back to you, Brian.
Thank you so much for that wonderful thing. And what I like the most is Andy actually thought he was going to guess what that thing was. And I'm not going to tell him. It's going to eat at him until he emails me at like 2 a.m. It's like, Brian, I just got to know what was that. And I'm not going to tell him. But that was Table Topics. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. These types of ones are always a lot of fun. So if you're ever strapped, what can I do for an impromptu Table Topics? Just get a bunch of stuff, throw it in a box, and tell people wrong answer only. What is this? Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Marianne Grady.
Well, I've been in Toastmasters for a long time, seen a lot of table topics, but none of that. That was awesome. Thank you. All right. I wanted to give you a couple of peace quotes throughout the meeting tonight, just to kind of get us to think a little bit more. And this one is from Mahatma Gandhi. The day the power of love overrules the love of power, the world will know peace. And I was just kind of reflecting on a lot of these, and you know, we hear this news and it almost just becomes like noise in the background, but I do think we need to stop and think about what's going on in the world. So, you know, just take a couple of minutes and, you know, reflect. But the next part of our meeting is our evaluation portion, and that will be led by our founding president, Mr. David F. Carr. So please welcome David to the virtual stage.
All right. Can we also just get a timers report just in terms of, did everybody qualify from Table Topics?
Everyone is qualified, and I'll put the time on the chat.
Okay, thank you. So I'm posting the link to those. Right. Well, I guess particularly for Brenda's sake, we should point out that this is a club that you can come to hear excellent evaluations, feedback from experienced speakers on how our speakers did and how they might do better. And our first evaluator for this evening has been a Toastmaster since shortly after dirt was invented. That would be Jim Barber, who will be evaluating our speaker number one, Ervlyn, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. My fellow Toastmasters, our most welcome guest this evening, and of course, especially Ervlyn Young. Ervlyn, it is always a delight to evaluate you because it's a delight to simply watch you give a presentation. This was a different sort of presentation than what you've given in the past. And I particularly always enjoy when that happens. So this was especially good. You indicated that you, well, first of all, you signed up at the last minute. You looked at the agenda and you said, there's nobody speaking. And most people looked at the agenda and they said, gee, there's nobody speaking. That's too bad. You said, there's nobody speaking. I'll sign up. So although this was something that you had worked on before, you had given this material before, this particular Toastmasters presentation was put together really at the last minute. So kudos on that. You did a great job right there. You said that you wanted to focus on vocal variety and body language. So I'm going to zero in on that. I'll just tell you up front, I'll take away the suspense. You nailed them both. Fantastic. Your vocal variety. Vocal variety covers a wide range of possibilities. You've got volume and you varied your volume. Sometimes you spoke very softly, quietly to us so that we had to strain to listen. That's very good, because then you raised your voice and it was apparent that you were right there with us. Loved that. Your speed, sometimes you talked very quickly and then you would slow it down and you would talk more slowly. This sort of variety keeps us engaged. Your pacing was superb. Your use of the pause. You are one of the best members of the club when it comes to pausing, because that's so important. That gives us an opportunity to think about what you are saying. And so you do that. You make a point, you pause, and then you continue. Very well done. Body language, gestures. Your gestures are fantastic. They are congruent. They are with what you're saying. Let's bring you up there. There you are gesturing. your hands were constantly moving, and that was so good, and they were moving with purpose. Occasionally, very occasionally, you lapsed into the supplication position, but you didn't do that very much. Congratulations, I think you've knocked that one out of the park. But not only do you have gestures, but your facial expressions. Now, this is not particularly a complimentary picture, but this is, you can convey so much with the expressions on your face, and you do that as well. So that was so well done. I have one suggestion for you, and this isn't anything that you did wrong. It's simply something that you can make it a little bit better. You didn't use any slides or any props, and it was so effective when Andriy, going to him, used a slide in his presentation. It brought it home. It made it personal. And so if you use it appropriately on a slide or a prop, that can establish a little bit better a rapport with the audience. But I'm out of time. This was a great presentation. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Jim. We have another evaluator stepping up under pressure, multitasking, going in several different directions at once, which is our own Brian David Crawford, who will be evaluating Andriy's speech. BDC.
It is never under pressure to be able to evaluate a speech as wonderful and awesome as Andriy's speech. So let me get that right off the bat. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, but specifically Andriy. There's an age-old Toastmasters saying that we don't talk about politics and religion in Toastmasters, and it's easy to see why. I mean, have you had Thanksgiving recently with your uncle who posts stuff on Facebook that doesn't need to be mentioned ever? Well, that's one of the problems we have as a culture around the world, is we have an ability to get in each other's faces and say very uncomfortable things. So when someone takes this opportunity and is able to have a conversation that's about something that shouldn't be controversial, but for some reason is, I want to applaud them for doing so. So Andriy, mahalo for giving this speech today. Mahalo for sharing your heart and discussing something that was close to you and that was meaningful. And honestly, I felt like everyone here is better for hearing. So I want to thank you from just, it meant a lot that you were able to do this. Even if you had a year to prepare for this or 2 minutes, you did an incredible job. So thank you very much. Andriy specifically asked that I look at two things. And one, what was the impact for the audience? And two, how did it flow one thing to another? I mean, a 14-minute speech, dear God, that's twice as long as we normally speak for. So let's address the first thing. Was it relevant? Yes, extremely relevant. Unless you've been living under a rock with no cell phone reception, you know what's happening. This is a topic that is very topical. This is very relevant for everyone who's listening. Did it flow well together? Anytime you're telling a story and you're telling a story that has various different components associated with it, which you did, and you did very well, there's going to be some gaps. There's going to be some jolts as you go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And you covered a lot in this particular speech. You talked about why was the speech important? Why was this topic important? How it hit close to you. And then you wanted to give us some examples of how other things impacted you from just being able to view them. And it was overall a very good speech from that regard. It built, it continually went forward. You never went back. You never skipped over stuff. It was a good flow. Where was it as smooth as it possibly could have been? Hard to say, but at the end of the day, it was a well-constructed speech that had all the elements. I do believe that there's always opportunities for improvement. And the one thing that I would love for you to have said is explain to me what you're wearing. It is very obviously you picked out this outfit for a very specific reason. And maybe I missed you mentioning what this is, but as someone who wants to learn about other cultures, a simple thing is to say, this is my tartan. I'm just going to say tartan because I know tartan is a thing that people wear in Scotland. I apologize that it's not what you're wearing, but just to take that second to give us just some more wonderful stuff about Ukraine. That's always going to make us, the audience, even more appreciative of everything you did. This was a masterclass and everything, and I don't want to run over my time, so I'm watching that timer very close right now. So mahalo, Andriy, and I hope that everything ends well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, BDC. We're going to hear from some of our supporting functionaries who've been watching various aspects and listening to various aspects. How about Dr. Byrne as our grammarian? What did you hear tonight?
Thank you, David. Several people used the word of the day, which was peace. And I want to call out Andriy and Terry used peace. Several other people also used peace. But then there were a lot of really good words that were being used because of the table topics. We have the doohickey. We have hitching. We have examples of jigsaw puzzles. We had other unique words that were used. The Connect 3000. We had twirling. We had toothbrush, cake catheter, alarm systems, and we had a few other dynamic range, slide prep. Those were some of the things that I heard and want to thank everybody for contributing to their piece of the puzzle.
All right. Lou Brown, what did you see tonight as the official watcher of the evening?
Thank you, Mr. GE. First and foremost, I do understand that we're not always able to have our cameras on, but it would be nice to see your smiling faces now and then. So thank you to those who do show us that here and there. And certainly it'd be nice again to have them on as much as possible. Backgrounds, Andy and Dave, I really like the fact that you have a simple background because as we all know, having crowded ones or distracting ones can be a challenge. And Andy, especially like yours, because it contrasts well with your shirt. So it really makes for a simple yet engaging image. And with that said, in my opinion, less is certainly more, except when we have themed meetings, which takes me to Marianne. Excellent background. Thank you for that, ma'am. Andriy, I really like how you use slides for your virtual background. I know you have done that with other presentations. That's very effective and very creative. Thank you for that. I mentioned careful about having crowded or distracting backgrounds. BDC, is that a little game playing in the lower right of your screen? I wasn't sure, TV game or something like that. And I wasn't sure if that was actually a piece of equipment in your physical room or if it was a little image. Either way, I found, my eyes were going there, here and there. Something to think about. Lighting, I know I can certainly use some improvement there. I do have a couple of lights, I just didn't set it up. And also, weirdly, I have anti-reflective glasses and yet I'm seeing glare on my own glasses, so be cognizant of that as well. That concludes my presentation, Mr. GE.
All right, wonderful. Angela Heath was our chat monitor this evening. Anything good in the chat?
I think I scared everybody by saying that we didn't want to use chat during the prepared speeches. Oftentimes that can be distracting, but I only meant during the prepared speeches, guys. It was very quiet in the chat. The main thing that came up, Brenda, nobody believes that you are grandma. That was the main thing in the chat. But other than that, it was very quiet. Back to you.
All right, terrific. And we can hear from our eye counter before she has a chance to do any more damage for the evening. April, tell us the bad news.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Well, this afternoon, we don't have any bad news. Everyone overall did a great job. Our top 3 crutch words were and, and so. We had a few repeats. I will upload the counter report into the chat. Back to you.
By the way, I don't think I asked for a timer's report on the evaluations. Need to post that voting link as well. Let's see.
Jim?
Did our evaluators qualify for time?
Yes. Jim, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and BDC, 3 minutes and 20 seconds, both qualified.
All right. So I have an opportunity to give some general feedback on the meeting. It wound up being a good meeting, despite coming together a little bit late, but we had people hustle to bring things together. I think we do need to work maybe on membership growth and also getting people to show up more consistently. Brenda, that's directed at you when we said membership growth. Yeah, okay. Anyway, we'll hound you to the ends of the earth, but other than that, you're welcome to stop by casually. Visit as many times as you like, but you're going to want to join. Just to make that clear, I don't have a great deal of other feedback. I think I will pass it over to our. I guess I should give it back to our Toastmaster of the day, actually. And April apparently has shared a file. So if you want to see the detailed breakdown of and ah infractions, that is there for your perusal.
Well, thank you, David. I really appreciate you hopping in there tonight and doing double duty. And to close our meeting, I'm going to leave you with one more quote. Peace cannot be achieved through violence. It can only be attained through understanding. And that is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And with that, I will pass it right back on to President Lou Brown.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Wonderful job. Yes, thank you to everyone for stepping in the last minute. Ervlyn and Andriy, oh my goodness, a 14-minute speech. I am challenged with simply putting together a 2 to 3 minute speech if I had to do that. So wonderful job. Thank you both. And yeah, very engaging speeches. First, I am going to share with you some announcements real quickly, as I would love to hear from our guests before we officially conclude the meeting. We have our video speech contest on March 7th, which is our next meeting. Keep in mind or remember that you must be a member of our or any undistricted club in order to compete. You cannot be a member of an undistricted club as well as a districted club to compete. It has to be undistricted only. We also have our webinar speech contest on March 21st. The winner who goes on to compete at VTMCon on March 23rd, I believe. David, correct me if I'm wrong. I see so many announcements about that, but sometimes the dates I mix up. Dues are due. You may have received an email from Marianne or Pamela or both. Dues are due by March 31st. We'd love to have you continue to be a member of our club. We know how much the feedback we get is that you really enjoy it. I agree with Dave, though. We are missing some of our friends. Hopefully they will come back soon. Please click on the renew link on our website to respond, or you may receive a couple of emails by Pamela where she instructs you can send away for an invoice. Okay, with that said, actually also, please sign up for roles for our next meeting. We have to, Andy with the thumbs up. We have dispensed with asking folks to do that or to fill it in as we end our meeting. We'd really love for you, though, to go there, even now, if you can, to sign up for a role for next week or the week after. And keep in mind, next week is our contest. And also stick around for our post-meeting gathering if you're able to do so. Very
Let
good.
me announce the winners.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
All right. So here come the winners. Now we did have Andriy, I believe, ran a little bit over the time that he was allowed. So that makes Ervlyn our best speaker for the evening, even though a lot of people wanted to vote for Andriy. I can tell you that. But I think we have to give a special award for a brave and heartfelt speech. And sometimes paying attention to the red light may not be the most important thing in the world when you have something important to say. For table topics, Angela Heath. And for best evaluator for the evening, Jim Barber.
Thank you for sharing that, David. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, Brenda, ma'am, Madam Grandma, which I still can't believe, unbelievable. What have you enjoyed about our meeting this evening?
Well, this is like the first Toastmaster meeting that I do outside of like my corporate Toastmasters. So it was nice to see like It was fun, actually. Like, I loved like the table topics and the timer, how it changes like in the background. I really need to figure out how to do that. Like, it automatically times it, and like the feedback. So I don't know, it's a great group.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And I would like to say that we will not hound you. We will certainly be in touch with you. I know Dave was joking on that. We will certainly be in touch with you. Our Vice President membership is Marianne, who's here. I'm sure she will follow up with you afterward. As Dave mentioned, feel free to come back as many times as you'd like as a guest. Always something new to learn here. Okay, now, Mr. Baker, for the person who most likely will receive an Oscar for most dramatic performance in a table topic, what did you enjoy about our meeting
Yes,
this evening?
sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Brown, fellow Toastmasters. I really enjoyed this meeting. And again, thank you to David Carr for somehow getting the invite to me, because I have no idea how I found out about you, but I'm glad I did. I'm a military retiree. I know I look young. I know that. I just grew this for effect for that Oscar I'm going for. But I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm always looking for new and better ways to do things. I'm always looking for connections like we did today. And again, if not for Toastmasters, I don't get the chance to talk to or listen to the Ukraine. I don't. So it was wonderful. I did have a couple of concerns. You all on your books have 46 members, and I heard you all talking about trying to find members. Was that like joking around, or do you really have 46 members? And is that just on paper, or is that just one question, hypothetical? We'll talk about that later. And the second question is, I've never seen a watcher role before where they watch your background. And I don't know about that one. Let's talk about that one a little bit later too, just so I can know for my own edification, because that's kind of personal to me. That's just to me. And if I got to control my background for you to follow what I'm saying, I must not be saying enough for you to be listening. That's the way I look at it. So I'll stick around for the after party. I'm going to drop my information in the box. If you all want to join me on Thursday, 12 to 1 Eastern time, please do. And I will be around for a while. Back over to you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, sir. We are at the top of the hour. I will officially close this meeting. Mr. VPE, please stop the recording. I'll wait for you to do so.